Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm taking a look at another real grade and yet another premium Bandai kit. And this right here is the real grade Eric Mansfield's Zaku II. Anyway, once again, a video like this would not be possible, a premium Bandai review, without those absolutely fantastic people over at Baiyi. So if you're looking for a kit like this, or any of your hard to find Gunpla, check out the link in the description, and I've also added the Amazon listing I bought this from. But anyway, on to the review. So this right here is what the real grade Eric Mansfield Zaku looks like out of the box, just snapped together with a couple of the stickers, and there's two things I need to mention right off the bat about this. The first one is, and some of you eagle-eyed people out there might have noticed just in the intro, is he's missing his antenna. So this right here, I found it, thankfully it was just on the ground, just pops out with like the simplest little touch. So this definitely is a loss warning. I actually had it in a bag. This one right here, believe it or not, that actually says this on it. And that's what it was going to be in the next Who's That Gundam part for Monday's video, which is, and a lot of you guys have been asking about it, the MP44 Optimus Prime, which so far I have to say is pretty damn awesome. But it just so happens today that I took this kit right here off the shelf kind of randomly for a review, and, well, that's where it went. So I guess that's good. And the second thing I'll mention about this kit right here, and it always goes for a lot of premium Bandai kits, it is just a color variant of this one right here. This is the real grade Johnny Ridden's or Johnny Ryden's High Mobility Zaku. I did do a review of that a while ago. I think that was during the Dark Ages, so it might not be the best of reviews, but it is there if you want to check it out. Actually, there is a third thing I need to mention about this, and this is before I actually am really even getting into anything. I should have known better. I should not have put those chest parts into it, because they are so loose. Once again, the same goes with Johnny's over here. All four of those pieces are lost and gone forever. I have no idea where they are. They're tiny and they just fall out. And I guess that sets the precedent for this review right here. This right here is one of the first ever released real grades, and I always talk about a thing called early real grade syndrome, which is these kits right here have an inner frame, a pre-molded inner frame that you just snap together from a runner. It is, from an engineering perspective, a really, really impressive inner frame, the way it is all done, molded onto the frame, etc. But it does mean these kits aren't necessarily the tightest things around, and this one has early real grade syndrome in some of the worst ways possible. And while I'm talking about that, I might as well mention that this kit is based on that High Mobility Zaku, the Johnny Ridden's one. That's a standard full release version, but that Intel is based on the Zaku that came out first. That is the Chars, or the standard version. And once again, one of the first ever real grades, and man, it does show. It really does show. You can feel it, see it, you can feel it during the build. It just, it's not great at all. There's one thing that this does and does well, and seeing as I'm talking about the aesthetics right now, that's exactly what it is. This thing looks beautiful. For something so small, this thing looks absolutely outstanding. I love the monochrome colors on this, that grey on white. It just looks pretty cool. It does kind of look a bit like the Shin Matsunaga version, which is pretty much all white, but I do like the grey thrown in there as well. It looks pretty cool. I will mention that that grey section there on his Zaku snout, that is just a sticker, so it doesn't look that good when you get in really, really close. It's not even the same shade as the grey on here. It is a little bit closer to this grey right here, but get in close, it almost has a kind of fuzzy look to it. And speaking of which, there is the sheet of stickers. This is your standard real grade fare. It is pretty big. There's lots of stuff going on there, and some of them are really nice and really, really big. Personally, I had to put all of these on because they do look great. That Griffin symbol as well as that Xeon symbol up there, it all looks really nice. And once again, I have not panel lined this kit right here, so that does mean all that awesome real grade detail, all those panel lines and everything don't pop quite as much as they could. So once again, this thing's best aspect without a single doubt is its looks. This thing looks phenomenal. However, things fall apart a little more when we get in further, and I mean literally. So now moving on to the accessories, and there's the real grade Zaku Eric Mansfield special with absolutely everything that it comes with. So there is no denying this comes with quite a bit, but it is exactly what we saw before, once again with this guy right here, just all in a slightly different color. So in here we've got that giant bazooka, the standard Zaku bazooka, Zaku machine gun, Heat Hawk, 3 pairs of hands as well as that set of fists we've already seen on the Zaku, and that is weapon holding hands, widespread open hands, and finally, those posable but unreliable real grade hands. In here we also have the base adapter, an adapter for attaching the weapons onto that big shield on the shoulder, as well as a 1/44th scale pilot figure. And I'm not sure if this is Eric Mansfield himself, and speaking of which, just in case you're curious, over on the actual Japanese Premium Bandai website, when you go to any of the pages for any of these alternate kits that are based on Ace pilots, if you go down to the bottom, you'll find this thing here called the Ace Pilot Log. This is in Japanese, but does give you all the information about the particular Ace pilots and the mobile suits that are coming out belonging to them. So, just in case you're curious why all these Jims and Zakus and what come out, they're basically just making it, or should I say, making the suits of any of these known pilots. For example, Lido Wolf right there. Just last week, I did a review of his Jim Sniper 2. There's Eric Mansfield, that's him right here. Philip Hughes has that absolutely awesome Jim Dominance, this one right here, which is coming out sometime this month or next month. And then we've got like Ager here, who is the newest one put up on here, and that is for that Mudrock Gundam that's coming out in November. So there is all that information, and it's pretty cool to look around on. You could just use Google Translate if you can't actually read the Japanese, and you'll get the general gist, but it is a lot of fun, so I do recommend going there. And just out of curiosity, there is Eric Mansfield. And it is also worth mentioning, there is a master grade of this kit as well. So moving on to the weapons, and at this point I will mention that I did leave the camera running while trying to attach it, just because I knew this would be a bit of a clusterfuck. So basically, when you take off the standard hand or whatever hand is attached, this wrist segment will just fall out. It's not really attached in there, just holds in. After that then, this just attaches into that standard holding hand by that usual kind of high grade style where you just split the hand in two, pop the tab into the hand, and then just close it up again. And I know I can be a bit heavy handed in reviews and whatnot, but even while just trying to get this gun on, I ended up knocking the head off twice. I only got it on camera once, but twice it came off. And you do have to sandwich that little piece of wrist in between the hand and the wrist, or should I say forearm, as you put it together. And you have to do this every time you change the hands. Not fun. And also mentioning that, just raise the arm and nope. Arm up and nope. And this is a freshly built real grade, and it's already got full blown ERS. Not cool, but regardless, ignoring the Zaku itself, the weapons look absolutely fantastic. The Zaku machine gun has never looked better in 1/44th scale. This looks great. We do have a clear piece there for the sights, which looks fantastic. And just all in all, the detail on this is phenomenal. As for the moving parts on here, this handle at the front can move in and out like so. This section here can rotate all the way around. And of course, you can take that little magazine drum off the top like so. And when it's not in use, you can just pop it for storage onto the side skirts. So next up in here, we've got the giant bazooka. Once again, this looks absolutely fantastic. Real grade weapons always do. But for me, there is one little letdown about this. We do have a bunch of moving parts. This, that, as well as this. And finally, this little section here on the scope pops open like so. To disappointment, the first. But I'll get to that in a minute. So next up then in here, we've got that standard Zaku bazooka. This time, as for moving parts, we do have a handle on the side here, which pivots at that point, and the scope up here does pivot like so. And in here we do have a clear part for that lens in the scope, and that's one of the things I hate about these kits. The clear piece in the scope definitely an awesome thing, but the one in here is just a grey piece. So instead of making two clear parts, they made one on a different runner in grey. I put it on this one because you can close up this scope, you never have to look at that. Honestly, I really don't know why they would make this decision. It's so weird. Just make two clear ones, or at least include a sticker for one or the other. That's daft. Next up in here, we do have a heat hawk. This is fairly basic, all molded in the one color. It does have a peg around here on this side for attaching it into the hands. And in here, we also have this little adapter segment, which pops on like so, for attaching it onto the mobile suit. The last thing then we have in here is this little adapter segment. This, I think, is awesome. This just slides up the shield like so. Be careful of those decals. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna get those past the decals without tearing them off completely. Ooh. Anyway, good job we've got this one from before. So you're able to attach all the weapons on, Heat Hawk, that big old bazooka, and the Zaku machine gun round back there, all onto it at once, which is pretty cool. However, this has lost a piece, and you may have noticed he's missing his antenna up there, and that is because these kits are notoriously prone to falling apart. You have to be very, very patient with these kits. Okay, so we're moving on to the articulation on this, and as usual, from the head down. One of my absolute favorite aspects about these kits is the fact that when you turn their head, the mono eye in there turns as well. So when he looks to the right, well, that would be his left, the mono eye turns. And that is a pretty cool effect. It beats having to open the head and do it manually. Anyway, next up, there is its... Ooh. Yeah, gone. But anyway, as I was trying to say, there is its giggity, so it's okay, not great. As for the head, there it is looking all the way up, all the way down, so that is okay. Again, not great. We have that side to... No, there isn't really a side-to-side pivot there. And there's the head left to right. And yeah, so far, not great. I do like the shoulder design on these guys because you can do this with the armor. It does come out quite a bit. That definitely is awesome. Those can rotate as well as move in and out like so. As for the arm, there it is all the way up and just decapitated him. His head is completely removed. Try and get that back on. And his nose fell off. Ugh, get back on there, please. Anyway, there is the arm all the way up. We do have the full 360 spin here, and that can move in and out quite a bit from the body. Actually, that is a pretty impressive joint right there. Anyway, making our way along, there is the full spin at that upper arm. Next up then is that full bend at the elbow. That is nice, definitely. Also, it splits the armor here ever so slightly. And the wrist right here is a fairly basic ball joint. Next up then, as for that ab crunch, there it is all the way back. That isn't bad. All the way forward, again, not so bad. A lot of this is very, very nicely engineered. Too bad it is quite fragile. Do we have a side to side? We most certainly do, without a single doubt. The front skirting armor here is just on a ball joint that is quite loose. And by loose I mean prone to falling out. It isn't actually loose. The side skirting armor doesn't seem to do a whole lot here. It feels like it could do something if everything wasn't in the way, but not getting anything there. Same goes for the butt flap back here. It's not like there's a whole lot really going on here. It feels quite loose and like it could do more, but it just doesn't. And while we're around on back, we might as well look at the backpack. I can't tell if this is meant to move or if it's just loose, but that handle does move. These little flaps here can move up and down. There's up, there's down. And the verniers here can move back, like so. We seem to have a standard hip joint here, so that means no rocking back and forth mechanism here. So there is that kick all the way up to the front, bye-bye side skirt. There it is all the way to the back. And this does feel quite good, but once again blocked by the armor. And speaking of which, there is the split. So, once again, without the armor, quite good, but blocked over here. And loose. Very, very loose. Next up, the spin there at the upper leg. Ooh, that does not feel right. That's very, very tight, but it does spin all the way around. Next up, then, we've got that bend at the knee. Is that it? Seriously, it's just a 90-degree bend there, but we do have that separating armor, which does look quite cool. Round back here, we've got these really loose, kind of crappy little flappy flappies. We've got some kind of double jointed system down here at its hilarious looking feet. I mean, look at them. They're so small. They're kind of cute, I guess. Also, this thing right here is a spring, in case you're wondering what they're attached on with. Sounds like this. And now if you're wondering why two of those are missing, I learned my lesson about trying to make silly sounds in videos. Back to the ankle. And then the toe segment here can move down like so. So that is a very, very nice foot. So all in all, when it does come to the articulation on the real grade high mobility Zaku right here, this kit really is worse than the sum of its parts. There's a lot of nice articulation, a lot of nicely designed joints on here, but what you get is a bit awkward, falls apart a lot, and you can never really get a satisfactory pose out of it. It's just not that great, really. So that is it for the review of the high mobility Zaku. This one right here being the Eric Mansfield's version, but it's exactly the same as any of the other variants of the high mobility Zaku that have come out, and this kit right here is bronze tier and definitely one to avoid. The only thing this is really good for is looking good on a shelf. It does have that awesome real great aesthetic. There is no denying that it is beautiful. But beyond that, it isn't really a fun thing to build per se, and the final product when you have it all put together just isn't great. If you really have to get one, I do recommend gluing all the non-moving parts on this. It will save you a lot of hassle in the long run, and it's definitely something I'd like to try. I wonder what one of these would be like, glued up, almost made into a figure in a way. The weapons in here are pretty cool, but there is a lot of corners cut, like with the clear parts on the sights, and besides having quite a bit of detail, they're all in a dark grey without much character. If you must, and I mean must, have a Zaku, because everyone needs a Zaku, I still haven't gotten a chance to take a look at the Master Grade 2.0 that everyone likes, but I will soon at some point. But I always recommend going for the high grade, the Origin version. It's such a good kit. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you do want one of your own, or for any of your rare gunpla needs, check out the link down there in the description. As always, once again, I think I said it already, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. So once again, all my endless thanks to each and every one of you guys who supports this channel, including my patrons as well as channel members, including Craig Jury, NQG420, Kaiser721, Forged Horizons, Vex, Bullwig, and Tyler Sanders.